Chapter 6. An Expected Threat. The following day, Sabrina found herself back in the library's hidden room, surrounded by stacks of ancient books and scrolls. The revelations from Mrs. Thompson's discovery the night before had led to a restless night of tossing and turning, her mind racing with new theories and connections. She had arrived at the library before dawn, driven by an urgent need to delve deeper into the witch's journal they had uncovered in Mr. Thompson's study. The leather-bound book sat before her, its pages yellowed with age and filled with spidery handwriting. As the morning light began to filter through the library's windows, Sabrina's eyes widened. She had stumbled upon a passage that made her heart race. The seal must be maintained at all costs. Should it break, the darkness that lurks beyond will consume all. The price is great, but the alternative is unthinkable. Sabrina's hands trembled as she read on, uncovering details about the seal, the ritual, and the terrible consequences should it fail. This was it, the missing piece that explained why the feud between the Thompsons and the Blackwoods had such dire implications for the entire town. So engrossed was she in her reading that she didn't hear the soft footsteps approaching. A hand touched her shoulder, causing her to jump and let out a small scream. "Whoa, easy there," Noah's voice came from behind her. "I didn't mean to startle you." Sabrina turned, her heart pounding. "Noah, I found something big." She quickly filled him in on her discovery, watching as his expression grew more serious with each word. As she finished, Noah ran a hand through his hair, a gesture she had come to recognize as a sign of his concern. "This is significant, Sabrina. If what this journal says is true, then Mr. Thompson's disappearance could be just the beginning. We need to." Noah's words were cut off by the sound of breaking glass. They both turned to see a brick lying amidst shattered shards on the floor, a note wrapped around it. With cautious steps, Noah approached the brick and carefully unfolded the note. His face paled as he read it, then looked up at Sabrina with worry etched across his features. "It's a threat," he said, his voice low and tense. "Directed at you, Sabrina. It says to stop digging into the past, or else." Sabrina felt a chill run down her spine. "Or else what?" Noah's jaw clenched. "It doesn't specify, but we can't take this lightly. Someone clearly doesn't want us uncovering these secrets." He moved closer to Sabrina, his protective instincts kicking in. "I don't think you should be alone right now. We don't know who sent this, or what they're capable of." Sabrina wanted to protest, to claim she could take care of herself, but the genuine concern in Noah's eyes made her pause. She nodded, feeling a mix of fear and something else, a warmth that spread through her at Noah's protective stance. "Okay," she agreed, "but we can't stop our investigation. We're too close to answers, and Mr. Thompson is still missing." Noah nodded, his eyes never leaving hers. "We'll continue, but we'll be more careful. I'm not letting you out of my sight until we figure this out." They spent the next few hours securing the library, Noah insisting on checking every nook and cranny for any signs of intrusion. As they worked, Sabrina couldn't help but notice how Noah always positioned himself between her and potential danger, how his eyes constantly scanned their surroundings. By mid-afternoon, they had moved their research to Noah's office at the sheriff's station, deeming it safer than the library. The witch's journal lay open between them on Noah's desk, its secrets slowly unfolding under their scrutiny. "Look at this," Sabrina said, pointing to a particularly cryptic passage. "It mentions a convergence during the Halloween festival. Could that be why the threat came now? Are we getting close to something that happens during the festival?" Noah leaned in, his shoulder brushing against hers. "Could be. The festival is only a few days away. If there's some kind of ritual or event that needs to happen, then we might be interfering with someone's plans." As they pored over the journal, their heads bent close together, Sabrina became acutely aware of Noah's presence. The warmth of his body next to hers, the scent of his aftershave, the intensity in his eyes as he focused on the task at hand. It all combined to create a heady mixture of emotions. Hours passed, the sun sinking low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the office. They had made progress, uncovering more details about the seal and the ritual required to maintain it, but many questions remained unanswered. Sabrina stretched, feeling the stiffness in her muscles from sitting for so long. "We should probably call it a day," she said reluctantly. My eyes are starting to cross from all this old handwriting. Noah nodded, but then hesitated. Sabrina, about tonight, I don't think you should stay at your place. It's too isolated, too easy for someone to get to you. She knew he was right, but the thought of leaving her cozy apartment above the library made her uneasy. Where should I go? You could stay with me, Noah offered, then quickly added, I have a spare room. It would be safer, and I'd feel better knowing you're close by. Sabrina felt a flutter in her stomach at the suggestion. Stay with Noah? The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. Are you sure? I don't want to impose. I'm sure, Noah said firmly. Your safety is what matters most right now. The drive to Noah's house was quiet, both of them lost in thought about the day's discoveries and the threat looming over them. Noah's home was a charming craftsman-style bungalow on the outskirts of town, surrounded by old oak trees. As they entered, Sabrina was struck by how the interior reflected Noah's personality. Neat and orderly, but with touches of warmth in the form of family photos and well-worn books. Make yourself at home, Noah said, showing her to the spare room. I'll grab you some towels and extra blankets. Later, after a simple dinner of takeout from the local diner, they found themselves sitting on Noah's porch, watching the stars come out. The night was cool, and Noah draped a soft blanket over Sabrina's shoulders. Thank you, she said softly, looking up at him. Not just for this, but for everything, for believing in me, for protecting me. Noah's eyes met hers, filled with an intensity that made her breath catch. Sabrina, you've become very important to me, more than just a colleague or a friend. I hope you know that. Sabrina felt her heart racing. She reached out, taking Noah's hand in hers. I do know. And you're important to me too, Noah, more than I ever expected. For a moment, they sat in silence, the weight of their words hanging in the air between them. Then, slowly, Noah leaned in. Sabrina felt herself drawn towards him, their lips meeting in a soft, tentative kiss. When they pulled apart, Sabrina saw her own mix of emotions reflected in Noah's eyes. Excitement, fear, and a deep, growing affection. We should probably get some rest, Noah said, his voice husky. Tomorrow's going to be another long day of research. Sabrina nodded, not trusting herself to speak. As they headed back inside, she knew that everything had changed. The threat against her life, Noah's protective instincts, and now this newfound intimacy. It all combined to create a sense of urgency and closeness she had never experienced before. Lying in bed that night, in the unfamiliar quiet of Noah's spare room, Sabrina's mind raced. The witch's journal, the seal, the impending Halloween festival, it all swirled together with thoughts of Noah and the feel of his lips on hers. She knew that come morning, they would dive back into their investigation with renewed vigor. The immediate danger and their growing emotional connection had raised the stakes, making their quest for answers all the more critical.